Hello, let's talk about Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It came on last night, got a chance to see it, and overall, I like to give my grade for the show at the beginning of the review. I would give this one a B-. It's not quite there, it's a solid B, but it's slightly above like an average episode. It had some interest, and the interest was really at the end of the episode. But let's continue. Let's start with the party. So Kyle has this fundraising party, and we are still there at the beginning of the episode. Brandy is there, and of course she is drinking way too much, and it's really embarrassing. Brandy is in her 40s, and she should know better how to act at events. She should understand how to monitor the amount that she's drinking when she's at these big functions. But apparently she wanted the attention. That's the only thing I can think of. Because she's at the bar and she is throwing drinks back like it's just throwing shots of water. We also have Camille. Camille is there, but she leaves because really none of the ladies are really featuring her at the party. Nobody really, except for Kyle, nobody really wants to deal with her. They feel as though she was extremely mean, and whatever she has to say is just going on deaf's ear. So if there was an opportunity for Camille to get back, I think it's gone, because I just don't see anybody really wanting to deal with her. I mean, it's going to be really interesting. I mean, unless Denise doesn't come back next season, maybe they might ask Camille to come back. I'm not sure. Camille and Lisa Rinna last week, Lisa came up to her and immediately called her out of her name because of things that Camille had tweeted. So Camille was just like, oh, you know what? I don't have time for you. I'm going to keep it moving. Camille comes into the house and she tries to apologize to Teddy. And Teddy was like, you can save it. I'm not interested. Go on about your business. Enjoy your life. It is what it is. So Camille is just not, like I said, Camille is, I don't know if she spoke to Erica. We didn't see that. And who else? And I don't think she even spoke to Dorit, because Dorit was trying to avoid her like the plague. Dorit did not want to have anything to do with her. So I don't think she even spoke to Dorit. So again, Camille just decided, to go ahead and leave the party, because really, I'm sure she probably knows other people there, but as far as being there for the cameras, she was like, whatever, I'll just go ahead and leave. So then we have Brandy. Brandy is talking really, getting reckless now because she's had way too much to drink. And she just invites herself into having a threesome with Denise and Aaron. And they were looking at her a little strangely like, you know what? You're drunk and we're just not here for you for that. It was really strange. And she did apologize to Adrian Malouf. Adrian was there. And, Adrian and her got into a legal tussle about 6-7 years ago. Adrian and her husband at the time, they're divorced, but they had adopted their twins. Not adopted. They had their twins via a surrogate. And Brandy was aware that, the twins came about via surrogacy. And some kind of way she used it, because there's nothing wrong with having a surrogate, but Adrian never discussed it, and there really wasn't a need to discuss it. But, Brandy blurted out there in a way to weaponize it against Adrian. And Adrian got really upset about that. Now, we didn't in the episode, I don't think that it was mentioned directly in the episode, but whatever Brandy said, some kind of way they edited so that Adrian got very upset, and her husband got very, very upset with Brandy. You didn't know exactly what the situation was at the time, but you knew that she had made mention something that really, really upset them, to the point that Adrian didn't even come to the reunion. Her and her husband did not come to the reunion, and they threatened to sue the network if that information, whatever it was that Brandy said, comes out at the reunion. So we later find out, I think about, I don't know, months or years later, that's what the situation was. So Brandy apologized for that. And Adrian's like, okay, that's fine. It's okay, whatever. I don't think Adrian still see it for Brandy. I mean, because that was something, and the reason that she didn't want the surrogacy information out there is because she said that they didn't they hadn't told their children yet about that. So they didn't want that out there publicized, and they tried to keep that away from their kids until they were ready to let them know that they, that they used a surrogate to have, the twins. And that's fine. That's their prerogative. Surrogacy isn't something that, a lot of people, especially in Hollywood, very wealthy individuals have used surrogates for many years. It was never a big discussion. People don't discuss surrogacy. They'd much rather discuss adopting a child versus surrogacy. It's like, I don't know. It's just something about it has a negative image assigned to it. But anyway, that's what Brandy did. Brandy was blurting out information that she should not have been blurting out, which is a habit that Brandy has. Brandy has a habit of taking things to a level that is below the belt. So it's not like she's necessarily making up stories about people, but if she knows any intimate details about a person, if she gets angry with them, she'll put that out there in the public eye. That's how Brandy fights. So, it is what it is. The next thing we know, the ladies are going to go to Rome. Lisa brings up, did she bring it up at that party, or she brought up Erica's party? Erica there's Shoe Dazzle throws a party for Erica because she is a spokesperson for Shoe Dazzle. So, they throw a party because she is the one who is, she's a big spokesperson for Shoe Dazzle. And I've seen the commercials and everything. So they have this, they make this house look like a big shoe closet, and they got this cake, and it's a huge shoe. It was really, really nice. And at the party, Denise approaches Erica to try to talk to her about, I guess, to try to smooth things over. The way it was edited, it looked like Denise wasn't finishing everything she needed to say. It's like Denise was talking about, she laid it out to Erica. I'm not a stick in the mud. I just don't want certain conversations around my children. I think around you guys, I can say whatever, but around the kids, I want it to be monitored. We just don't talk about certain things around the children. And then, Erica was like, well, what about Aaron? And we didn't get a chance to see or hear if Denise had an opportunity to say anything about Aaron. Because obviously Aaron is a sore spot with the ladies because of the way he has been jumping into their situation and talking down to them. But I don't know, again, so that's something that still hasn't been sorted out at this point. We just don't, see where that's getting cleaned up. We also see a scene with Lisa Rinna, her daughter. I don't know if this is the oldest daughter. I think it is. The daughter that was in New York that had to come back home because she had an anxiety attack and she just wasn't doing well in college in New York. So I guess she's going to college in California and she's going to get her own apartment. And I'm telling you, the way that this young lady was talking, because one of Kyle's daughters working for her dad. She's I guess a real estate agent. She's going to help find the young lady an apartment. And all of the requests that this girl has, it's like, I gotta have, Adornment was the only one that was reasonable because, you want the security. So she wants to be in a secure building. I didn't have an issue with that, but all the rest of the things that she was talking about, and I have anxiety, and because of anxiety, and everything was about having anxiety, and she needed to have windows, and it needs to be this and that. I don't know. It was a lot of detailed, very over the top things, but the thing about it is she's paying for it. The only thing Lisa is contributing is $1,000 a month. Everything else the young lady's paying for because she's a model. So she has her own money. So if she can afford that lavish lifestyle that she's living and that she's been accustomed to, then so be it. Lisa's like, okay, it is what it is. And I can agree with Lisa on that front. All right. So now let's see what else. We see Garcelle with her guy that she's dating. Garcelle's been very busy. Then Garcelle meets up with Sutton. Sutton, they go to some restaurant, they meet up, and Garcelle asks Sutton, she says she doesn't really like to talk about money, but then she asks Sutton about how does she get her money. And that was kind of off-putting to me because it's like, girl, you you already know that she married a rich man. Okay, so but we don't know if Sutton has done anything else to earn her own money. I don't know, but Sutton was very, like, girl, what? So she kind of she did answer the question, but you can tell she didn't like it. And she was like, I'm from the South, and I married a very wealthy guy. I've known him since grade school, and since I was 13 years old. And so then Garcelle was like, so did he take your virginity? And she looked like, girl, I'm not going to even answer that. She was already done. I think Sutton was like pretty much put off with she did answer very nicely, but you can tell the look in her face was like, girl, you are doing way too much. And I thought the questions was a little off-putting, especially for someone you don't really know her. And that was a little too deep. I really felt like that was too much. So the last part was them getting ready to go to, getting packed up, and they're going to go to Rome. And so the big thing was Brandy comes over she's in the car, she's with Kyle's sister, Kim. And she comes upstairs, and they're talking about, Brandy talks about Denise. Brandy says that her and Denise hooked up after they met. Okay, they actually got together and made out in the bathroom, wherever restaurant they were in. I think they went to some fundraiser or something. And then later on, they went and did a podcast, and wherever they were doing this podcast or whatever they were doing, they ended up, they got together more intimately at this, wherever they were. But Brandy made it seem like, oh, I felt so bad because she's married and this is really cheating on her husband. And I know what it feels like to be cheated on. That's why my marriage broke up. And I think that the situation did occur, but I don't think she was as hurt as she actually made out to be. I don't know. Something about that just didn't sit right with her being the victim in the situation. And then she talks about how her husband is like, Denise's husband is like, well, as long as you're going out with women, I really don't care. As long as it's not men, I'm okay with that. And then she goes on, talks about how, oh yeah, she don't really like Erica. She thinks she's cold-hearted, and she doesn't like Teddy because she's so insecure. And what did she say? Did she say anything about Lisa? I think she said something about Lisa. I don't know what it was. But anyway, she talks about, the only person I think she didn't talk about probably was Garcelle, according to Brandy. And, the whole point was Brandy was saying that this person that's smiling in you guys' faces is not who you really think she is. She talks behind your back. She's not a nice person. She's a put on. She's fake. She's phony. She's all these different things. And to me, I'm not saying that Brandy is 100% lying about the things that she specifically states about what she said about Erica, what she said about Teddy. I don't think she lied about that, but why are you telling this? Like, why are you putting that information out there? Like, that, to me, it's like, okay, she's phony, but, okay, whatever. I don't know. I just felt like Brandy was really trying to make a moment, and that's what she got. I don't think that Brandy is lying, though. I don't think that Brandy made it up. And, of course, when they go to Rome, this is going to be the issue, because they're going to have one of those blowout dinners, and this is where it's going to come up. And so we also know at this point that at the reunion, they're not allowed to even talk about Brandy. Denise has sent out cease and desist letters. So that whole situation about them hooking up is not to be discussed. So I know that's going to be a challenge because, excuse me, that is one of the highlights, I guess, of the season, is to talk about that. And the fact that they can't talk about it at the reunion, it's like, well, they're going to spend more time talking about Denise being a phony. I don't know how they're going to do that. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know. We'll see. But that's my review of Housewives of Beverly Hills. Talk to you later.